Hey YouTube, Jim here. Out in the shop, as you can see. It's been a fairly productive day today, so I thought I'd reward myself with some nice, delicious Sam Gawith Balkan Flake. And I'll be smoking that in my Nording Hunter Series 1999 The Quail. Nice little pipe I picked up here a while back. Been a productive day in the shop. I got the floor swept. That was a huge improvement. No more wading through a moat full of peanut shells and briar chips and vulcanite shavings and all of that. Our major snowstorm we were supposed to get has kind of petered out and turned into rain. They were originally forecasting up to a foot of snow for us today here in the Midwest, but the temperatures warmed up. We got some sleet and a little bit of snow last night, and I'm breaking up my flake right now. Got some sleet and snow last night, and then this morning it started snowing like nobody's business. It's actually was on Skype with Big Flakes 88, and he said, "Man, it's snowing like hell there." I said, "Yeah, it kind of looks like Canada down here." And we got a chuckle out of that. But the temperatures have since warmed up. It's turned into a light rain. So their 8 to 12 inches of snow they had forecast has turned into about 3 inches of heavy wet snow that's turning into slush and melting away as we speak. Got some lathe time in. Been working on a pipe for one of our fellow YouTubers. He has requested a diamond shanked Dublin, so I'm going to give that a try. It'll be my first attempt at a Dublin, and also my first attempt at a diamond shank. So we'll see how this turns out. Hopefully, he and I, neither one, will be terribly disappointed with it. But I've got it here on the bench in front of me. Oh yeah. I'll tell you what, this Balkan Flake, this Balkan Flake, I got this from the gentleman that I bought my Dunhill from. He included that as part of the purchase. And it's actually the first Sam Gawith blend that I've had that I really like. Man, this stuff has got real nice notes of leather. It's a really rich smoke. About as close to perfection as I've ever found in a flake. But anyway, here's the beginnings of the commission that I'm working on. Had to go with a 3/4 bowl instead of 7/8 on this due to the size of the block, but I've got a nice bevel there on the rim, and I don't know if you can see down there in the bottom, that white spot there, that's the end of a pipe cleaner. Got her nailed dead center. It passes a pipe cleaner all the way through, and there's the rough shape of it. You can see my sketch on the outline there on the side. So it's a 20mm ebonite blank. It'll be a hand cut stem. I've already done the tenon on it. You can see the tenon there with its nice chamfer. So it'll be all hand cut, and hopefully next weekend I can work on getting this shape refined a little bit. I got all the turning on it done today, and I'll probably show it off when I get it finished up, get a little further on it next week. So that's what I've been working on today. That and trying to get the shop in some kind of form. But excuse me. Hope you didn't have to look up my nose there. The real reason for this video is the beginning of part 4 of our grungy pipe restoration. We got that little guy right here. Hopefully the lighting is a little bit better today. I tried to work on it some. I don't know if I've had any luck or not, but what we're going to deal with today is that big nasty crag. You see that thing? That's the fill that I dug out of it, and been listening to everybody's responses, and the majority would like to see me do a fill on it, so I think that's what we're going to do. But I've also had a few guys that said, nah, it's part of the beauty of the wood, let's leave it. So I think I can accommodate both camps. And you'll notice, got that big craggy nasty one there at the bottom. We're going to definitely fill that one, but there's this other little one right up here towards the top. It's not near as deep or severe, so I think we're going to leave it and just we may work on it just a little bit and smooth that shape out, but we're going to make it part of the rustication of the pipe. So that's what we're going to do today. I have got my 5-minute 2-part Loctite epoxy right here. This is what we're going to use to do the fill. We'll mix it a little bit up in a tray, and we'll pack it into that crag, and we'll let it set up. Then we'll break out the dyes, and we'll get it colored, and we should be able to get that thing polished up today. So you guys hang tight. I'm going to light this pipe up, get things set up, and I'll be right back and we'll get started. Okay, YouTube, we're back. Camera angle is going to be a little bit funny. I'm going to try and focus on the work instead of my my beautiful face and my Dagner Pipes t-shirt here. One thing before we get started, I had mentioned previously the test tubes that I was using, the borosilicate glass test tubes, the alcohol burner that I've got here, and the test tube clamp. I got the name of the company wrong. It's American Science and Surplus is the name of the company, and their website is sciplus.com, and I'll put a link down in the description so you guys can check it out. They've got all kinds of scientific surplus. They've got lab glass, they've got microscopes, all kinds of stuff, projects for kids. My youngest son absolutely loves the catalog when it comes. He takes that to bed with him when it shows up, and that's his before bed reading. He thumbs through there and looks at all the cool stuff. So anyway, I'll put a link down below here. So what we're going to do to get started is I've got right over here on this side, you can see I've got equal parts of epoxy and hardener, and I'm going to use my all-purpose golf tee tool here. We'll just mix that up. This is 5-minute epoxy, so your working time is fairly short, but you just get that all mixed up. Oh, hold it over here so you can see what I'm doing. Get that stuff all mixed up, and it'll start to get milky a little bit when it's mixed. Now, some guys say they use briar dust in here to help disguise it. I've had pretty good luck just using it as is, and it'll take the dye pretty well on its own, so I don't mix anything in with it. But I've heard some really cool ideas. One gentleman, and his name escapes me at the moment, says what he likes to do is take crushed glass and mix up in it, and when he sands it out and polishes it, it shines like jewels. So anyway, here's our crag, and I'm gonna take this epoxy on the golf tee, and I'm just gonna pack it down on that crag. I don't know if you can see that very well or not what I'm doing, but go back and get a little more. Just mash it down in there. You want to try and get it down in there all the way to the bottom, and don't leave any voids in there. Kind of pack it in there real nice, and then don't worry about getting a little crazy with it and getting a little extra on there, because we're going to sand this and clean it up a little bit when we're done. So there's that. So we have got our epoxy into the fill here, or into the crag rather, for our fill. So what I'm going to do now, I've got that guy all filled in, is I'm just going to set this aside for a few minutes, let that epoxy set up, and we'll move on to the next step of sanding that down. Look, I've only got one eye. Now we'll take the next step of sanding that down, and we're going to get some black dye on this guy and cover those fills up. You won't even know they're there. And we'll sand off most of the black on the high spots, and we might give it another little coat of light brown, and then we'll take her over to the buffer and we'll buff it up and put a nice carnauba wax finish on it. So I'm going to pause you right here, give this a chance to set up, and I will see you back in just a few minutes. Hey there, YouTube. I'm back. Alright. Good shot of the beard, not much else. Our epoxy is pretty well set up. So, going with our motto, safety third, we'll put on our safety glasses, and we're going to go after this first little pit, which isn't showing up too well in this light over here. We're going to go after that with this little guy right here. That's just a little burr on my Dremel, little burr cutter, tiny little guy. But we're gonna go in here in this this pit that we're gonna leave, and we're gonna clean it up just a little bit, open it up some, and then I'll go back with a slightly larger cutter that's the same style right here, and we're gonna shape all that stuff in there together. Then we'll throw some stain on it and get this guy polished up. So hopefully this won't blow your eardrums out, but I'm gonna fire this guy up and see what we can do. And I'm also gonna turn this light on, so your picture's gonna get washed out, but I need to see what I'm doing. So bear with me just a moment. Okay, that's all for the small, whoops, wrong direction. That's all for the small cutter, and I don't know if you see it, we opened that up just a little bit. Now we're going to put the bigger cutter in and blend everything out here together. And then we'll hit it with some stain, and hopefully we'll have a little better camera angle for you on that one. So, give me just a moment here. And this doesn't take very long. It's a quick little process. I mean, it's so we're just going to rusticate right across that fill that we just did. And all I'm doing is taking that burr and just kind of bumping it right across that crag, giving it some nice texture there. Well, I'm going to go over here in this original factory fill, and we're going to kind of blend our textures a little bit. This Dremel gives a slightly different texture than the factory had. And we'll go ahead and turn that light off. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. Get over here and just kissing it a little bit there with that little burr. Now the epoxy's still just a little bit soft, but that's not going to hurt anything. It'll go ahead and cure. It'll take the stain fairly well. So there we go. You see the light spots there where I've gone in there with the Dremel and changed the texture on that rustication just a little bit. So I'm going to pause you. We'll go over to the other bench and we'll get some stain out. Okay, we're back at the other bench. I've lost my lighter. So I'll use fire sticks. Anyway, get my area cleaned up a little bit here. So there's our newly rusticated pipe. And what we're going to do is we're going to take us a pipe cleaner here. I apologize for the weird shot of me here, but just a standard plain old pipe cleaner. Then there's a little hook on it like so. We're going to use that as a brush for our dye. And right here is our magic elixir. And all this is just a little bit of 5-Bings leather dye. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that right, but I'm not getting an endorsement, so I don't really care. But just dip that in there like so, just a little bit. This stuff is water thin, so it goes on really easy, and a little goes a long way. And then come over here where our fill is, and our little crag. We'll black it up. Get that one filled in with some blackness there. And then we got one more back here. Hope you guys can see this okay. And I'm going to put some around the rim, and that'll bring out some of that grain and darken that rim up a little bit. Maybe we'll hide some of that char that was left over. So that's all there is to it. You can, this stuff dries fairly quick on its own. You can just let it dry, or you can do what some guys do, and what I do if I'm doing a whole pipe. You just touch a flame to it, and then it'll burn all that alcohol off, and it'll dry a little bit quicker. But this stuff really dries pretty fast. And what I like to do is just take a paper towel here and kind of go over everything, and wipe off any of the wetness, and you can see there where we're at rather. And then I'm going to take a little bit of 600 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to sand right over the top of that and get the black off of the outside of the bowl here, and just leave it down in that little rusticated stripe. Same thing over here where our fills are. Hope the radio's not bothering y'all. Y'all, I'm in the Midwest. Shouldn't be saying that. Anyway, got good old NPR on Sunday afternoon here, just catching the liberal side of everything. Spent a lot of time rolling my eyes listening to these guys. They are definitely about 180 out of what Fox puts out. They've got a very distinct agenda. But that seems to be the way with about everything anymore. Everybody's got an agenda. I guess my agenda is do what I like, and mostly I just try not to be too big a dick. And seem to get along all right. Be nice if the government could figure that out. But anyhow, just about finished here with this 600, and I'm going to go over the top of the bowl here as well. When you're doing the top of the bowl, you want to, I'm going to go with a bigger sheet here. You want to be sure to keep it flat. That way you don't round over the corner. Look at the camera jiggle. Okay. You see that that kind of darkened up the grain on the top a little bit. Help hide our char. And I'm just going to go over the rest of the outside where the brown is, and just kind of even that all up a little bit. We're going to restain this whole pipe. But before I do that, I got to find my lighter, because I am going to set this one ablaze when I do it. And just a little note, a whole side note, when you're sanding on these things like this, you always want the stem attached when you're doing this kind of stuff. That way you don't roll the edges where the stem and the shank meet. Okay, let's see how that looks. This really doesn't take a terrible long time. It's really not that... we're getting there. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video a little bit. It's going to take me another few minutes, and this is kind of getting long. Looks like we're going to end up with a 20-minute installment here. So I'm going to pause you. I'll go back and finish getting this guy sanded, and then we'll hit it with some light brown stain and finish her up. So hang tight. Alright guys, I'm back. We've got our pipe here. See, it's quite a bit lighter than it was when we started. We've got my alcohol burner here. And I got what's left of my pipe cleaner. And I have got my light brown stain here, leather dye. And we're just going to dip it in there like we did before. Tap off the extra. We're just going to cover this whole thing. You want to keep it moving, keep a nice wet edge, just like when you're painting. That way you don't get thick and thin spots. And you just go over all of this, just like before we did with the black. Now we're just going over the whole pipe, right around the top. Okay, that's all of that. You come down here, we'll set her on fire, and oop, I went too high with it. But now I've just kind of ran out across the flame, and you see how she dulled up. Nice and brown again. Put that out, close up the stain so we don't have a spill here. And again, I'll rub it down real well with paper towel to get the excess off. There it is, we're stained. Now we're going to head over to the buffer, so I'm going to pause you here, and I'll see you over there. Actually, on second thought, I think what I'll do is I'm going to end this here. This is the end of part 4. And here we go, we've got our, I'm going to, woohoo, dizzy, come over here, try to get some light where you can see what we've got, okay? So, there's our pipe, all re-dyed with our, that big crag all filled in again and textured up. And then there's the other crag that we left. Doesn't show up very well, but that's that. So, this will conclude part 4. And I'm going to go over to the buffer, and we'll see you back for part 5. Thanks for watching.